Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a real psychological mystery about how we navigate our modern, hyper-connected, AI-driven world. We're going to look at a deeply insightful case study of someone who is transitioning into retirement and how their subconscious mind perfectly captured this crazy tension between our highly curated digital lives and the raw, unpredictable reality of nature. It is a completely new way of thinking about human maturity in the age of technology, and it's absolutely fascinating. Let's get into it. Picture this. You're stepping into a major life transition, leaving behind a stressful career, and you wake up from a vivid dream with just 3 cryptic words echoing in your head. The Candy City. Just 3 words spoken right before waking up. It's intriguing, right? Well, as we're about to see, this simple phrase acts like a mirror, reflecting the exact structure of our modern, digitally obsessed society. So let's jump straight into part 1, the Candy City Dream and our modern guide. To really crack this case and understand the profound shift this dream signifies, we first need to look at the messenger. In Jungian psychology, the subconscious often sends us a guide, sometimes called an anima, to deliver important messages. But check out her characteristics. She isn't your traditional, comforting, warm maternal figure. Not at all. She's a 30-something female with short hair, wearing neutral clothing and a jacket. She is highly rational, action-oriented, and very modern. She's a guide for a brand new era, bringing a message from the unknown directly to the dreamer. And here's the real kicker. She only spoke one phrase, and she spoke it in English. Now, the dreamer's native language is not English, so why make that deliberate choice? Well, in the logic of dreams, this is incredibly powerful. It symbolizes the great unknown. It perfectly represents the dreamer's recent deep dive into AI tools, international psychology podcasts, and these expansive new cultural frontiers. English, in this specific context, is literally the language of a brand new world beckoning the dreamer forward. Moving right along to section 2, decoding those subconscious symbols and peeling back the layers of meaning. Okay, let's decode the core of the mystery, those 2 specific words this modern guide actually spoke. Let's start with candy. There are 3 distinct layers to this word. First up, it represents the literal sweetness of life and the newfound freedom of retirement. A real shift toward creativity and play. Second, it taps into the joy of the inner child, reconnecting with a simpler time before all those heavy academic pressures set in. But then there's the 3rd layer, and it's a warning: temptation. In our modern era, candy is that quick, easy dopamine hit from AI, social media, and digital addiction. It's the very real danger of consuming only what is artificially sweet and instantly gratifying. Then we have the word city. A city naturally symbolizes civilization, sharing, and connection. And this is a massive clue. The subconscious isn't telling the dreamer to go become a hermit and retreat into total isolation in the woods. Not at all. The city shows a deep desire to take all this newfound creativity, the sweetness, right, and actually share it with society through workshops, publishing, and teaching. It's fundamentally a space for human exchange. What's wild is how brilliantly this dream illustrates a broader pattern that's been happening in the dreamer's subconscious over the last 6 months. Previously, their dreams were filled with intense imagery: white tigers, controlling kings, even being executed. These were clear symbols of a striving, high-pressure, warrior academic life. But lately, the imagery has completely shifted to the ocean, little girls, pure creativity, and nature. The transition from a rigid controller to a free and natural creator is well underway, and the Candy City is a pivotal waypoint on that journey. Which brings us to section 3, the Typhoon Night Awakening, a completely real-world event. So, just as we're wrapping our heads around this sweet, artificial utopia of the Candy City, bam, a plot twist from the real world completely shatters the illusion. A cool breeze and rain blew in, the body naturally woke up. This actually happened in real life, right in the middle of the night during a massive typhoon. The dreamer didn't wake up because a smart alarm went off or a phone notification chimed. They woke up because the temperature literally dropped, the wind was howling, and their physical body instinctively responded to the forces of nature. They got up, closed the window, and turned off the fan, all without even overthinking it. The body just naturally co-regulated with its environment. Our source makes a really fascinating comparison here to highlight this contrast. Think about Osho's famous Pune ashram in India. Inside, it's this highly managed, constantly cleaned, artificial utopia filled with services, music, and joy. It is essentially a candy city. But step right outside those walls, you're on the real streets of India. Chaotic, impoverished, dirty, and incredibly raw. The ashram creates this wonderful psychological sweetness, but it ultimately builds a wall against the unpredictable reality of the physical world. Let's break this down further. In Section 4, Candy City versus Nature, two totally different modes of existence. We are really looking at a brilliant dichotomy here, two entirely different ways of living in the modern world. On one side, we have the Candy City. It's entirely artificial. It's driven by relentless consumption, quick stimulation, and virtual realities. It appeals directly to our ego and scatters our attention outward. But on the other side, we have the ecological self. This is grounded in the natural world. It's focused on symbiosis and deep, genuine feeling. It is the real, tangible, physical world, where your true self instinctively responds to the environment, exactly like waking up to that typhoon. Because here's the thing about the ecological self, it doesn't demand a flawless, painless, climate-controlled environment. It actually embraces the typhoons and the heavy rain. It accepts the reality of heat, fatigue, and yes, even loneliness. Instead of trying to dominate the environment or escape into an artificial candy city, it builds the actual capacity to co-regulate with the unpredictable and sometimes very uncomfortable realities of nature. It's about physically feeling the weather on your skin, not just checking a weather app on your phone. And that leads us perfectly into Section 5, Ecological Individuation, the Grand Synthesis. So how do we actually pull this off? How do we synthesize the technological sweetness of the Candy City with the raw, chaotic reality of the typhoon? Well, the source material introduces a truly groundbreaking theoretical concept here called ecological individuation. What this means is that true, deep psychological maturity isn't just about integrating your internal thoughts, traumas, and dreams. It's about realizing yourself is an active node in a massive living ecosystem. It is the physical, lived response to nature, the changing seasons, and your own internal bodily rhythms. It's about stepping beyond just the mind and rooting yourself firmly back into the earth. And hey, this isn't just some new age fluff. The legendary psychologist Carl Jung himself instinctively moved exactly toward this in his later years. He didn't just sit around in a stuffy clinic analyzing dreams forever. He physically stepped away. He built a stone tower by hand. He chopped wood, planted trees, and carved solid stone. He deeply understood that realizing the complete self requires a biological, hands-on relationship with nature, not just an intellectual or psychological one. Coming out of all this, the dreamer in our case study adopted a really powerful personal mantra. Go with the flow. Pay attention to sensations. Listen to the calling. I mean, that just perfectly encapsulates ecological individuation, doesn't it? Going with the flow means understanding the current of the river, not trying to forcefully control it. Paying attention to sensations means raising your actual physical awareness, rather than constantly seeking artificial digital stimulation. It's about being an active, deeply responsive part of the ecosystem, rather than pretending you're its master. I want to leave you with something to chew on today. Look, we all live, at least to some extent, inside the Candy City. We are constantly surrounded by AI, endless quick dopamine hits, and perfectly curated virtual environments. But the typhoons of reality, they are always blowing just outside the window. So in this Candy City of endless tech and temptation, how are you going to find your connection back to the earth? How will you wake up your own ecological self? Take a moment to really think about that. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.